Instagram isn't just for pretty pictures anymore. It's a powerful tool to grow your business and boost sales. But are you using it to the full potential? Welcome to PhD with Woman on It, Hack the Future. My name is Beata Young, and today's Positivity Hack Delivered will be by our guest, Corey Walker. Topic: Navigating Instagram for Business, Tips on Growth and Social Media Success. Episode 179 starts here. Let me remind you, this is a grassroots community that focuses on women on IT, an inclusive forum of women in technology, startups, and female leaders who are supported by men as well. And I bring heart to that hustle because empathy is my mojo, and empathy is critical when you're navigating Instagram for business. First, let me remind you what's been happening in the world of our community. Workshop Alert, our former PhD guest, will be running a workshop designing your success at PyCon Italia 2025. Join Giovanna Malaga in Bologna on May 30th for 2 hours of practical strategies, trend discovery, and networking tips. Good luck in your endeavors, Giovanna. And huge congratulations to Jackie Mora on being selected to join the Google Developer Experts program for Flutter. We're excited to see you hacking the future. Now, time for our topic, navigating Instagram for business, tips on growth and great success. In this episode of Positivity Hack Delivered, we sit with Corey Walker, 5-time best-selling co-author of Instagram for Dummies and Instagram for Business for Dummies. Corey is a social media marketing expert who helps businesses like healthcare professionals, attorneys, and restaurant owners leverage Instagram and email marketing to grow their business. Whether you're new to Instagram or looking to level up your strategy, Corey's insight will help you create content that converts. Corey, where are you joining us from?
I am in El Dorado Hills, California, which is right outside of Sacramento.
Beautiful location. I know you're suffering a little bit of flu today, and I'm even more grateful for you joining us today. So, Corey, you've co-authored Instagram for Dummies 5 times. What's the most surprising way Instagram has evolved since you first wrote about it, and how can business keep up?
I mean, well, the biggest change that has happened is Reels, because it pretty much changed the game so that now, instead of just pictures and graphics, it is really a short form video app first. So that's been a huge change, and a lot of it, of course, is due to TikTok and competing with TikTok.
Did you know that Instagram launched in 2010 as a simple photo sharing app? Now it's 100,000 plus billion marketing powerhouse. How do you help businesses pivot with its ever-changing dynamic?
Yeah, it's a challenge. I will tell you. The biggest change, obviously, with Reels is pushing business owners to be comfortable online and really be comfortable on camera. There's a lot of business owners. I mean, anybody. It's not always easy to get people to be comfortable being on camera. So that has been the biggest shift. Is getting people comfortable with sharing their stories, and instead of just having me post a pretty picture, say you need to be involved in this process, and they really want to see you because you're the face of the business.
The first Dummies book was about DOS in 1991, before hashtags even existed. So this is an iconic brand for simplifying complexity. When you first pitched Instagram for Dummies, did anyone doubt that a platform built on aesthetics could be distilled into a simple formula?
Um, yeah, I mean, they actually approached us. So it was kind of a backward story. So we didn't have to pitch it to them. My co-author um, has written several several dummies books in all sorts of IT related topics. And so once Instagram started getting really popular and getting used more widely by businesses, they reached out to Eric and said, hey, we'd really like you to do an Instagram book. And since he was not using it as much for his clients and wasn't really an Instagram expert and knew that I was, he reached out to me to co-author it with him. So it was a little bit backwards.
Mm. So your new book dropped last year. What's the most radical shift? Well, apart from Reels, what's the most useful tool that you see is going to be really changing the dynamic for Instagram?
Um, I still like using all the different parts of it. And so, Reels is a huge part of it. And with this last book, a lot of the changes were smaller incremental things. So, several years ago when we did one of the books, Reels was brand new. So that was like a big, big change. More of their changes lately have been small things like adding notes, adding broadcast channels. So those are kind of little add-ons, but I don't see them as being like earth-shattering new things. So what I like to tell people is to use Instagram like a funnel. And so they're going to start with the reels at the top because that gets in the most new eyeballs to accounts because Instagram really likes to share reels more widely. And then get them down to your profile page. And then you can share more information like carousels and your regular posts and then move them over to stories once they've liked your profile. And that's where you're going to share a lot more personal details so people can get to know more about you. And then finally, at the end, I tell people to do some lives, especially if they're sharing a product or even if it is a service, just kind of talking more about the service, how they can sign up, how they can work with you, that kind of thing. And then some of the other things, like I said, like broadcast channels and notes are kind of just nice add-ons, like a little cherry on top, but they're not going to move the needle like some of these bigger areas.
Well, in 2012, brands posted once a week on Instagram. Now it's 11 times more competitive. How did you adapt to survive the algorithm wars?
Yeah, I mean, I usually tell people to post a minimum of 3 times a week. I like to be, I, I try not to overwhelm people. So, because if you have to post, 10 times a week, their eyes will glaze over and they'll say it's not going to happen. So I would rather them be consistently putting out, 3 pieces of content, quality content, every week. So that's kind of where I am with them, and then trying to make more of those reels and carousels, and then sharing some of that over to stories, and telling a little bit more of their story in the stories. I think is helpful. Once a week, that's a little shy, but trying to do the 12 times a week, that's a hard ask for most people.
Especially somebody who's running a business, a serious business like legal work. So, how do you convert these legal clients for somebody who's working in obscure countries or in somewhere that may not be quite popular? Like, I don't know, if you mentioned some lawyers, but also what's next question? What is the most surprising business that you've seen on Instagram?
Well, okay. So the most surprising business, I'll answer that one first. is TSA. So that is what, I'm not sure what it stands for, but it's the airport security basically. And you would think, oh, airport security, why do they have an Instagram channel? But it's super funny, and they talk about all the different things they find like in people's suitcases and what not to bring, and they add a really humorous spin to it. So that brings me to my point where, a lot of people think, oh, my business is really boring. What could I ever do? There are ways that you can make things more fun or more interesting. For a lawyer, for example, I would talk more about the different, types of law they do and explaining some of those things. Like I've had somebody that's a probate lawyer. So that's someone that deals with, someone's estate after they've passed away. And there's a lot of legal wrangling. And so I find people might be looking at those things when they need it. So say your mom passed away and you're thinking, okay, what do I do with this? How is this process going to go? So if this probate lawyer can be very educational and share a lot of videos about the process of probate, like the do's and don'ts, because there's lots of things that if you do it one way, it can not benefit you very well. If you do it another way, it's a much better outcome. So things like that is how I would share someone in a more obscure industry.
Well, if we are talking about lawyers, I have to say that the most funny lawyers I've seen on Instagram were the legal representatives of some company in the US when they finish every story with "shut the F up."
That's one way to do it.
Absolutely. So when you're being pulled in a car, shut the F up. So
yeah, no, I get it. Yeah, like do not speak, do not say anything. It's true. I've watched enough legal dramas to know. Just zip it.
Yeah, absolutely. So what's one old school social media tactic from the early days that still works magic today?
Selfies.
Yes,
it's amazing, but yeah, like I can share some detailed carousel and it's got multiple steps and all this stuff, and it'll get some likes, and some comments. But you share a selfie and it's just like, boom, you get triple the amount. So don't be afraid of sprinkling some of those selfies in and, with a little story or whatever. But people really like to see your face. So don't be afraid to get out there and just shoot a selfie, and you'll be surprised at how effective they are.
Well, here is a stat. Posts with faces get 38% more engagement. Yep. So are we hardwired to connect with humanity even in a digital world?
Oh, 100%. I believe so. Yeah, I think it's a hardwired thing. We like to see the faces of the people we know, and even people we don't necessarily know. There's some type of biological connection when you see another face that that we really connect with more than a graphic or a photo, or even a photo like a stock photo that has someone's face. But when it's not the person, it's like your brain shuts that off as a connection. But if it's somebody that's, my name's Bob, I own the local gas station, people just really, I think it's a natural physiological connection or something.
So you've said Instagram isn't just about pretty pictures. How do you turn a scroll-stopping post into a sales-generating one?
Well, what I like to do is use, there's Social Stampede which is the one I use. People might be familiar with ManyChat. And so what that is telling people to comment a certain word, and then they will get information delivered to their DMs. So it might be, oh, I have this great new resource for you. Comment weight tracker in the comments, and I'll send you my specialized diet plan in the DMs. So that's been a really great one where you have content that people are resonating with, and then you're giving some kind of freebie lead magnet type thing in the DMs, and that's an easy way to implement it.
You mentioned that reels dominate the algorithm, but many find them intimidating. What's your secret to creating reels that feels authentic and professional at the same time?
Yeah, well, one of the easiest things that you can do is have either face the light. So like right now I am facing a window, and I also have a ring light. Ring lights, I got this off Amazon for $20. So invest in a simple ring light that's going to help your just, block out the shadows, things like that. And then even just like a little lapel mic. Those are also on Amazon. I think I got a pack of 3 for like $13. So that's going to make your sound sound a lot better and more professional. So those are 2 things to make it look more professional. If you're trying to get into the habit, some people really like to have a day where they're just going to shoot a bunch of reels. So if you're an organized person, you might have a spreadsheet that says, okay, we're going to cover these, 8 topics today, and then have a light script. I don't usually have people have like a hard and fast script, because then they get all robotic and they're reading it. So I like them to have more of an outline of something they're comfortable talking about. And then just talk to the camera and film those reels, and then go back later, and then you can add in any overlays, music, all of that on another day.
Here is one gem. Dentists using patient testimonials in stories see 3 times more bookings. How do you find the human spark in every niche?
Yeah, I would say a lot of it goes to personality. So find those people in your organization. I mean, if you're just yourself, you're just going to have to self-spark. But yeah, find those people in your organization, if you have multiple people that that really do shine on camera and they like to be on camera. Now, if you are just a single person, talk about the things that light you up about your business. And that usually will shine through as much as possible. And you can even talk about, even if your business is kind of like, I don't love my business, like I do it, but I don't love it. What do you love in your other areas of your life? And maybe you can bring it into the video, talking about that, and then relating it somehow back to your business, or even saying, when I'm not doing XYZ at my business, I like to be out, making candles at the local candle sip and paint, or, whatever, one of those kind of things. So bring into it the things that you do love.
Instagram's user base is 2.4 billion, but over 200 million businesses compete there. What's the unexpected return on investment for a small business that most overlook?
I would say the sorry, my cold's still acting up. I would say just the personal connections. So I have a realtor that does a podcast. And so a lot of people, when they think of doing a podcast, they think, oh, I have to get all these, millions of downloads. And they're thinking, like, I can never compete with Joe Rogan. And well, that's true. You probably won't be competing with Joe Rogan. But what this particular realtor has found is that he's doing his podcast and he's meeting all of these different people, just like you and I. We didn't know each other, and now you invited me onto the podcast, and and now, we have a connection. So he's connecting with all these people on a deeper level. Now, where that goes back to Instagram is he creates all of those podcasts into reels, and then they go on, and then that person is sharing it also to their accounts. So it's another way to share information with other people, and it's also that one-on-one connection that they establish through the podcast. So I don't know if that answered your question exactly, but
Beautiful. 70% of shoppers use Instagram to discover products. So I'm wondering, how do you turn discovery into devotion and loyalty?
yeah, I mean, testimonials, like you mentioned before with the dentist, is a big thing. People, especially like the younger Gen Z, really like to see other people using the product, and they're not as influenced by some of these bigger influencers like Kim Kardashian. They are really influenced by the micro influencers. Um, so I would say just using as many, you know, using those testimonials and talking more about the product from the user's perspective, I think is how people end up selling more, because they've been jaded to, someone being paid to talk about their product versus somebody that's just excited to talk about it because they used it and their skin is glowing or they lost 10 pounds or whatever it is.
So, in terms of business who would like to approach micro influencers, where do they start?
So I would say if you're a business that already has a bunch of users, I know there's a skincare brand that I use, and they reach out to their existing customers with an email and say, hey, would you like to be part of our brand ambassadors? So you can, if you have an email list, which obviously if you're selling products online, you're going to have an email list. Search those people first because they are using your product, and see what they think versus going out to somebody that's talking about other stuff online. I would check with your users first and find those people that really do love your product and see if they'd be willing to do some kind of testimonial for you.
You blend Instagram with email marketing. Why is that combo so powerful, and how do you marry the two without overwhelming audience?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a true believer in repurposing because I know that the way the algorithms are, if you post something on Instagram or Facebook, there's just a slim chance that you're going to be seen by, you're not going to be seen by everybody. You're going to be seen by a group of people. So the email, I repurpose a lot of what I've shared on social media. One for time, because I don't want to be creating all new content. But the other part is just to reinforce, even if those people saw it on social media, they may have forgotten or they might need that reminder. So sometimes it's a good 1-2 punch, or sometimes, they're seeing one and not the other. So I do like to use both. And I use social media to feed the email list. So as I was mentioning before about Social Stampede or ManyChat, you can have people comment something and then have them fill out a form and collect their email addresses, things like that. So there's several ways that you can do it, but I definitely like to have them working in tandem with each other.
Stats show email converts 40% better than social media. So, how do you turn casual scrollers into subscribers? But also, some people say that Instagram or Facebook or any other social media platform, is really a rentier's place. You don't own it, you pay a rent.
Yes, that is true. And TikTok is a great example of a place where, it could go away. We still don't know completely the fate of TikTok. So that's a space where a lot of creators, if if for whatever reason they don't find a seller in the US, that platform could go away. Now, I think they will find a resolution, but there's been other platforms in the past, like Periscope, that people used, Vine, that people put a lot of their time and energy in and built followers, and then they went away. So I do like to move people from social media onto your own email list. And usually the easiest way to do that is to offer some type of freebie or lead magnet, so that you might be offering a PDF of something. It could be something super simple, a checklist. But for them to receive it, they have to fill out a form with their email, and they're going to receive that thing in their email. Now, you should be asking them, are you okay with being put on my email list at this point? But that's a great way to get people to grow your email list, because I do think it's very important. And I do see a lot more people open their emails, even if it's for a quick second, versus see things on social media or notice things on social media, because either the algorithm didn't show it to them, or they're just kind of scrolling quickly and aren't totally paying attention.
I've got so many questions still, but it is a moment of pause for Corey also to get her tissue going. And I would like to encourage our lovely audience to ask questions to Corey, whatever they may have, but also let's dive into conversation, like chat groups created by account holders. Would you say it's a good strategy, and what is the minimum followers you would advise, minimum number of followers you would advise thinking about it, and is it something that will stay?
Okay, I'm sorry, I missed the first part of your question.
So I'm talking about like a group chat. So sometimes some companies would create a group chat, so it would be just on Instagram, kind of WhatsApp group chat for specific brand.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that can be a great way to get more ideas for content and get people more engaged in that. I don't really do any of that for my clients. So I don't have a lot of experience in that area. I think maybe some of the bigger companies are doing it. Now, if you're talking about more of like a follower pod, so that used to be more popular several years ago, and I'm not sure if this is what you're referring to, but it used to be that people would do these pods, and basically you'd have maybe 10 people, and you'd all agree, like as soon as you posted something, you'd say, oh, I just posted, and then they would all like it and leave comments. And we don't do a lot of that anymore. So I'm not sure if I answered your question or not.
Yes, absolutely. That's what I was thinking about. So this feature will be gone and forgotten, you believe?
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people are doing that anymore. Mostly because people found that it was too hard to keep up with, and it wasn't a true following, and it's kind of fake. And then the most of the other people on the pod, if you've got 10 people and you've constantly got someone saying I just posted, so then you're kind of bebopping in and out of Instagram, and yeah, it's too much. And I don't know that it really moves the needle that much either.
I see. Now we have Olga Vasina asking us a question. Great conversation. Thanks, Beata. Corey, when it comes to repurposing, is there any way to discern content that just got lost and content that just will not attract any interest?
Yeah, well, I would say you can either go into your Instagram professional dashboard, as long as you have a business account. At the very top of your profile, you'll see a thing that says professional dashboard. And I would go through that, and you can see all your metrics and just look at, what's getting the most likes, what's getting the most content, all of those things. And then just do more of the things that are working well and abandon some of the things that are just not getting any traction. Now, you can also do this within Facebook's Meta Business Suite. You can look at both Facebook and Instagram at the same time. So that's another option there as well. But you do have to have a business account to see that information.
Carrie, I don't like to call myself dummy, but I have to tell you, I've got one thing that I'm struggling with, which is the number of followers. Every week I'm checking, I'm trying to get into 1,130, and I'm not getting there. Like for the past, I don't know, 5 months, I've been around 1,120. So
Yeah.
what would be your advice? What am I doing wrong? Of course, you can't really go deep into the statistics, but maybe there is something that I should be aware of. Why is my followership not growing?
Well, one of the things that you can do is go yourself and reach out to other people. So you can maybe find other, guests that you'd like to have on the show, or people that you think would like to see your show, and follow them, and then leave them a DM saying like, hey, I really like your profile. Let me tell you a little bit about, what we do, and, hope you like what we offer, kind of thing. If you reach out and follow other people, that's a great way to get more followers, and leave some kind of, personal message, um, comment on some of their photos, like some of their things, so that they really notice you. I mean, you can just go out and follow some people, but I find I don't look as much at who's followed me recently. But if they leave me some kind of comment, like a bunch of my posts. Now, I hate it when people like 50 of my posts, because that's just like, come on. But you might like 3 of their posts, leave a nice comment, or send them a DM, and like it. It takes a little bit of work, but if you're only trying to get to the next 100, that's an easy way to do it, and it's the best way, I think, to get more attention. Now, the other way you could do it a little bit more in bulk is if you do some Instagram ads. So you can have an ad that leads back to your profile. So that can be a good way, if you just want more followers, is to do an Instagram ad, just talking about what you offer, and why they would want to follow you. So that's another way to do it.
Thank you for that personal advice. Now, let's talk about the reintroduction to those who only started following recently. How often should you do it, and why would somebody should do it?
I'm sorry, did you say reintroducing me on my own account?
Yes, as
Okay.
your business.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, I think it's worth doing. I'm probably overdue to do it as well. I would say anytime you've done a big push where you're, maybe you did an Instagram ad and you're getting a bunch of new followers, that's a great reason. Or maybe you had some video that for some reason just went viral, so you got a bunch of new followers. That's definitely a great time to do a reintroduction. And then if you're kind of just in a steady state and you're just getting, new followers here and there, maybe once every 6 months, just kind of go out and say, hey, I just wanted to reiterate who I am, what I'm all about, what I do, what my service is, how I can help you, that kind of thing.
Let's talk about posting consistently. You mentioned in your book the themes of, or the topics of a post. Why is it important, and what should it look like?
So I think you're maybe referring to like content pillars.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So yeah, with most of my clients, I will, well, with all of my clients really, I will suggest that they do content pillars. And what that means is look at your business and look at maybe the top 5 or so subjects you want to talk about. So say you're a realtor. And so you might talk about, one, you're going to talk about, of course, your like new listings, the houses you sold. That's an easy one. The next one might be about the area you live in and why you love living in the town you live in, some of the events that are happening, just giving people a tour of the area so that if somebody is coming in from another city, they know more about you. The next one might be personal life. So maybe you have, one kid that plays soccer and another one that's a pianist. And on the weekends, you like to go boating, whatever it is, sprinkle some of that in. So that would be another content pillar. Now, another one might be how you do staging on a home. And like tips for how to get your house ready to be sold. And then the last one may be about, landscaping tips. I don't know. I'm just kind of pulling these out of nowhere, but basically you have 5 different topics that you're gonna think about. And this way it gives you a foundation. And so you could even do it like if you're going to post 5 times a week. You could say, okay, Mondays we're going to work on this content pillar, and Tuesdays it's going to be this content pillar. And it just gives you a nice framework so you're not just kind of shooting out in the dark of your content. And sometimes people will do like say it's Money Monday and we're going to talk about finance this day. And so then people get used to like, oh, it's Money Monday. Yeah. So it's just picking those top 3 to 5 things, usually probably closer to 5 that you want to focus on, and then coming up with those kind of sub bullets under each of those pillars.
Well, we like to talk about things that are trending, and AI is one of the things that is top on everybody's minds. So I'm wondering, in your Instagram for Dummies, did you mention idea generation with AI, or is it something that you not really using or advising?
Yeah, so Instagram has been sprinkling more AI, and like things are changing by the day. We did touch on I think in direct messaging, you can do an image generation to send, if you wanted to send a photo of something that you created from AI, there is that bit. There is some AI in the search. So now, if you want to search something, it does give you like AI more suggestions and things like that. You can also have your own avatar. So there's definitely a few things, and they keep adding. So those are the things that come to my mind automatically that we did have in the book. I'm not sure if they've added anything since, but you never know. It's like I said, it's constantly changing. So
you never know the secret, as
that's right.
As a famous one-liner in the, I don't know what it was, but it was Rebel Wilson.
Oh yeah.
So let's go to posting consistently. The burnout is real. How do you cope with burnout? Or you're just top of the list of Instagram and you never experience burnout?
Oh no, I do. Trust me, I do. Yeah, I mean, first of all, doing those content pillars, it is helpful for that that foundation. So if you can say in the beginning of the month, do a plan and say, okay, here's my 5 pillars, and I'm going to talk about these, 3 things underneath them. If you can do a little bit of planning up front, I think that definitely helps with burnout. I find other people like to have, assistant. A lot of people will hire me to help them with some of that content creation, so that they're not having to create it all. Like I would just in the beginning of the month consult with them and say, okay, what are we trying to talk about this month? Are we doing any promotions? That kind of thing. So getting some support definitely helps, but also having that foundation and doing a little planning up front, taking that time up front is really going to help you the rest of your month, because you can have that content created and then schedule it out. So most of my clients, I'll work with them in the beginning to talk about what they want to talk about that month. I'll provide all the content for them to review. And then once they approve it, it will all get scheduled out for them. And then they don't have to worry about it until the next month. And it's easy peasy. So yeah, I think for a lot of people, it's just remembering you don't have to do it all yourself. You can get some help to do that, whether it's, a professional like me, or someone like a virtual assistant that you want to get their help with the scheduling or doing some of the graphics, things like that. That's all a good way to help prevent that burnout.
Let's jump back to the Reels story. Apparently, the first Instagram video was only 15 seconds. Now Reels offer 90. So I'm wondering, how do you craft stories that hook viewers?
Yeah, so they just expanded it out to 3 minutes. I don't normally, if you're using Reels, I will often have people just keep to under 30 seconds, because I have most people using Reels as that hook to get them further down that funnel and just get them interested and then go to the next thing. And I find that most people don't have the attention span for a 3-minute video, as sad as that sounds. Now, there are some instances where I'll have people do longer videos if they're trying to explain something, or if their audience is already accustomed to these longer videos. Say the person is explaining, how to do a process, or maybe it's somebody doing a video that's kind of a before and after. So it might be the whole process of refinishing a shoe or something. Then people will wait for the whole thing. So if you could find something that has a beginning that is really interested, and then they want to see what the outcome is at the end, people are more willing to stay. But if you're using it just to get more people to notice you, I would keep those reels pretty short and sweet.
Everyone's obsessed with Reels, but captions are the secret weapon. How can a well-crafted caption turn passive scrolls into customers?
Yeah. So I would say giving enough information, but then also using those lead magnets and having other ways to contact them, like through email, I think is really important. So if you can have them get onto your email list, I think that's going to be a better way to get them as a customer. Now, the other thing that you can do with your captions is have them be an intro to a live you're going to do. Just explain that you're going to have a live coming up in the next week, and then do your selling there. It's hard, I would say, to have just a regular Instagram post with a caption lead to a sale. Like you kind of need to guide them to the next step, because unless you have it developed as an ad, there's not a link in there, and really linking them to the next step in the process is what you need. So you either need to use one of those ManyChat, Stampede Social kind of things to get them to a link, Or you can still use link in bio, but a lot of people have kind of abandoned that. So I would say the ultimate thing is having some call to action to where they take their next step. And that's how you translate that into a lead and eventually a sale.
I still sometimes see some people are using links in the caption. That's a no, is it?
Yeah, I mean, it's because it's dead. Like it's not, you can't use it unless you have it set up as an ad. Then it will say, it'll have a bar or something. It'll say like sign up or learn more. But if you're just putting, www dot whatever, it's not going anywhere. And people, unless you've got something super amazing, people are not apt to copy and paste that anywhere. It's just the nature of the way that we are now. It's like, oh, that's too much work. So that's why the ManyChat solution works a lot. Even I would say it works even better than telling someone to go to the link in your bio, because it's not taking them out of their scroll feed. You're just commenting, and then you're going to get that thing, and you can look at it whenever you want. When you tell someone to go to the link in bio, then they're like, okay, I got to go to your profile. Then I got to go to the link in your bio. And then I got to find it in your, link tree or whatever you have set up. So that's why I like having that other ManyChat option. And yes, a link within the caption will go nowhere and just makes you look more rookie, I would say, than anything.
Just don't do it.
Don't do it.
Now it's time for a little play, because I
Okay.
want to talk about next thing, which is or emojis. Posts with emojis in captions get 15% more engagement. So what's the secret spot? Not to overdo emojis, but do just the right number to keep it playful and interactive.
Yeah, I mean, I'll throw in a few. I'll often use, if I'm bulleting something, like I'll use emojis as the bullets. If I'm trying, if I'm writing something and I'm being sarcastic, I might use an emoji so they know, like, oh, I'm being sarcastic here, because sometimes, it's not always obvious. But yeah, when people do an emoji after like every other word, it looks ridiculous, and it's like, ah. So I would say, use them, sprinkle them in so that it makes sense, but is not overwhelming, is my basic rule of thumb.
Instagram's algorithm feel like a mystery. What's one myth about that you're determined to debunk?
Well, one thing that has changed, it's not really a myth, it's changed. And that is that bigger accounts are favored in the algorithm. So Instagram used to really push the big accounts because it's like, oh, well, they're getting all the views and they're getting all the followers, so that must be a great account. They have since changed that, and they're really trying to push those small creators. And I think it was probably done because, they heard enough from the smaller creators, like, I'm trying to build this thing, but you're not giving me any love and no one's seeing my stuff. So they realized the value of these smaller creators. So they are starting to push those more, even more than some of the bigger accounts. So, so the good news is, don't feel bad. Like if you have, 1,000 followers, don't feel like, oh, I can never compete with the big ones. It's not true, because they're still sharing your stuff in the algorithm. And I was just watching something recently where the way that Instagram does it is so you put out a post, and they're going to show your post to a small group of your followers and a small group of non-followers. And they see how it does, and they see what reactions it gets. So if it kind of falls flat and it doesn't get much, love at all, no engagement, then it kind of will die off. But if both of those groups, show interest in it, then they're going to show it to like a slightly bigger group and see how that does. And then a slightly bigger group. So so I guess the main thing is to make sure that whatever you have is interesting enough that it's going to get some feedback from a small enough group. And how to do that, I mean, I can't explain exactly, but that's the way the algorithm works now. It's kind of just always a testing thing that is going on to the next phase to see how it does. And so that's how you have these small accounts suddenly having this viral moment because enough people in those little test groups liked it, or commented it, or just watched a reel like 5 times because they thought it was so funny. And then it will go on to that next stage. So
You can have a David beats Goliath moment,
yes.
as we have Olga playing with us with some emojis. What a great thumb and emoji. And oh yeah, good point on emoji overuse and heart emoji plastered. Now, we wanted to talk much more, but there is so much info. Thank you, Corey, for giving us so much insight. If you could give your younger self one piece of advice about building a brand or building a business on Instagram, what would it be?
I would say get help earlier. So I was a lone wolf doing everything myself for years. So I've had this business almost 20 years now. And up till about 3 years ago, I did it 100% myself. And because some of it is control, like I will admit, I'm a bit of a control freak, and I like to make sure that everything I do is good and represents me. But what I found was that that really stifled how many clients I could have because I only have so many hours in the day. So, so two things. So I did get a virtual assistant who is kind of my right hand man, and he's able to do a lot of things for me to clear up my plate for some of the bigger things. So I love that. And then also trying to figure out more ways to be one to many. So whether that's doing some kind of digital product, doing, a webinar that you sell the seats to, anything that wasn't as much my one-on-one time with a person, which I still really enjoy. Like that's still 95% of my business. And I haven't been doing as many one-to-many things as I probably should have. But those two things, especially getting the help, because that made my business scale a lot bigger, was just getting some of those smaller things that I really didn't need to do off my plate, and working in tandem with someone really helped me grow. So don't be a control freak. Get help.
Just do it.
Yes.
Speaking of doing things yourself, Eleanor Roosevelt said that women are like tea bags. We don't know our true strength until we are in hot water. So in life, how are you brewing? What's the tea you're making?
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, I mean, for me, it's probably just dealing with all the aspects of my life and then trying to fit work into it. I have one daughter in college, one daughter in high school. I have a husband. I have aging parents. So it's a lot of it is just the juggle of trying to do it all. And so going back to that first point of having that support, that does help you get out of that hot water, because okay, I don't have to do this by myself. Like I can ask this person to do this for me, whether it's in your business or maybe it's your spouse or your sister or something. So getting that support and help, and not feeling like you are your own island and you're the only one that can handle it, because there's other people that are usually ready and willing to help and support you.
What is the number one book you wish you read before you started your career? And it doesn't have to be Instagram for Dummies.
Yeah, so I would say Atomic Habits. by James Clear. And I think that's in the chat for people to see. It's just a great way of, stacking your habits and getting a process together to make something that might be uncomfortable into a regular part of your practice. One thing that did help me when I got my virtual assistant was putting a lot more systems in place. I never really had systems. It was all in my head. And so part of that book is getting some of those systems in place, so that you don't have to, like, your brain doesn't have to rework everything every time you have to do something. It's like, oh, well, I did that before and I have it all written out. So yeah. So
Are you working on any exciting new project?
Lately I've just been getting a lot of new clients in. So I don't have a standalone project that I'm working on for my business, but I do have several new clients that I've onboarded, and I'm just really excited to dig in and learn more about their business and how I can help them.
But I'm sure if you had an opportunity to meet somebody, you would find a place and you would find the person you would love to have a private breakfast with. So tell us, spill the tea. Who would it be and where would you go to?
Yeah, well, business-wise, I said Sarah Blakely. And she is, if you're not familiar with who that is, she is the woman that created Spanx. And that might sound funny to someone like from the outside, like, oh, that's who you'd pick. But for business, what I love about her is she started with nothing. Like, I think when she first started Spanx, she had $5,000 and she built this amazing brand. And, it started with just the, I think, like the brief kind of, I don't know, little things to wear. And then, she expanded the line. Now she's got some shoes that she's doing. But she started from really nothing and just really scrapped it together and just worked and worked. So I would love to hear from someone that really started from scratch and how she built this business, because I feel like she has just tons of information that would be helpful.
And where would you meet her?
I've been watching White Lotus. So I would love to go to any of the White Lotus places. Maybe not Thailand, because it seemed a little hot and sweaty there. But one of the mystical White Lotus beach resorts. I love a good beach that has an open cafe kind of thing. So we would have breakfast near the beach at a White Lotus hotel.
And you would probably bring your favorite life lesson quote to Sarah's attention. What it is?
Yes, so it is, be comfortable with the uncomfortable. This is where the growth happens. And yeah, that's really, like, all of the times where I've had growth in my business, it's because I pushed myself out of my comfort zone. And I will definitely get in those spots of comfort and feel like, oh, I'm just kind of moving along, but I'm also not growing. Like, I'm doing my thing day to day, but I'm not expanding, and I'm not expanding my business. And I'm just, clocking in, but not making progress. So when I push out of that area, which it is uncomfortable, that's when I see big things happen.
Oh, absolutely. Well, Sarah Blakely had her first spandex cut out of ties, and it didn't really look attractive. So definitely, just do it is the mantra here. When you say it, it's marketing. When they say it, it's social proof. Andy Crestodina says, well, I think we had nailed this topic very well. We have social proof from IPO Vid. Patrick Young says, terrific show, ladies. Thank you, Beata and Corey. And thank you, Olga Vasina, for your comments and great emojis sent over to us. Thank you so much for sharing your insights and experiences. And I believe there is more to discover. Reach out to Corey, check her book. She's got a website. She's got her book published in December. And that's it from episode 179 of the PhD live stream. Thanks to our guest. To stay updated and ensure you never miss a positivity hack delivered, follow Woman on It and turn on notifications. Next week, we've got already recorded with Bonnie Voken. He is going to talk about Stoic philosophy. As always, our positivity quote comes from Positive Thinking Only and goes, look for something positive in each day, even if some days you have to look a little harder. If you don't like something, change it. If you can't change it, change your attitude. Thank you.